Absolutely. Let's talk about what is going on between one who has, all of a sudden become a very strong activist, especially in this part of Nigeria. NAFDAC has come out to defend itself from allegations that were made just a few days ago. Well, in case you have not been following the story, you recall that NAFDAC had gone to a very popular market, of course, in the southeast, to ensure that they destroyed, shops. They also apprehended. They also did all they could. Yes, all traders or people in quotes who deal in selling fake drugs. It's a very, very tough situation that they had to take, and they did it, and they received plaudits from Nigerians who said, great job, well done. However, after that was done, a story came up where the activist, very dark man, decided to take a trip down to the southeast, and then found out that some of the marketers in quotes, or maybe we wouldn't want to call it drug sellers, we want to call it those who deal on medication,
yeah.
Yes, had their shops locked up, and they were not in any way part of those who sell or deal on fake drugs or medications. However, he also noticed that they were told individually to come through to NAFDAC and make XYZ payment of 700,000 naira. And he felt that was wrong. If you have been able to breach into a market and you caught some persons dealing on fake drugs, then it's all right for you to apprehend them, arrest them, sentence, and take them to court, and so on, but not turning around and coming back to others who were clean, in quotes, and telling them, okay, regardless of whether you were clean or not, come and pay 700,000.
That's extortion.
Exactly.
Right.
Just so many have said it's extortion, but he made these claims, and many were shocked. I was equally shocked, like, okay, why would NAFDAC do that? Is NAFDAC now the law? Is NAFDAC now the judge in this situation? Are you not supposed to hand over the perpetrators to the system so that they can handle them, possibly try them in court and so on and so forth? But then NAFDAC decided to be the judge and the jury. Aside from apprehending these ones, they also requested that they make XYZ amount.
They're saying it's not them. I mean, NAFDAC's explanation is that it's a federal gazette. But we'll come back to look at it. Let's now take a look at the video where Martin Ose, popularly known as Very Dark Man, was speaking so strongly against NAFDAC and their actions in Ogbogu, the largest open drug market in Africa. Let's take a look.
All right, so to the DG of NAFDAC, Professor Moji Christiana Adeyeye, it's possible that you might be the next person to kidnap me, because Nigeria now, if you talk, they kidnap you. Do you understand? But madam, this is what is happening now with your office. I can't keep quiet. You people have turned extortionists and you people have turned criminals in this our Nigeria. Do you understand? And I expect well-meaning Nigerians to also put mouth in this matter, because very, very soon, if you not keep quiet, you will buy Panadol for 15,000 naira. I promise you. I promise you. NAFDAC have turned extortionists and thieves overnight, and I don't know why. If you want to generate money for the government, we have oil. We have a lot of mineral resources. Go and bring them out and use it to make money. Why are you people extorting these traders? Do you understand? You people have become thieves. And after this video now, we go write petition. Do you understand? Write petition to EFCC. I wanted to engineer them that we should break all the padlock when NAFDAC don't put. But that's taking laws into our hands. So we'll give it to EFCC to do the needful and investigate this thievery and this extortion that is going on in Ogbogu market in Onitsha. Now, NAFDAC, again, I will rephrase. You are currently collecting 700,000 naira per shop in Ogbogu market, where they sell medicines in Ogbogu per shop. The shops there is over 5,000 shops. So you are expected to make over 3.5 billion so far. That is if you collect from everybody. But we are not going to let you people do that.
That sort of gives a summary of what's happening in Ogbogu market, which is one of the largest open drug markets in Africa. In February, NAFDAC had carried out a sting operation and found out that a number of people were trafficking in illicit medication. They were repackaging expired drugs and all of that. I think there were about 4,000 arrests or shops that had been closed. And now the reports have it that they're being asked to pay 700,000 naira to reopen their shop. But NAFDAC has given an explanation, and I am going to read what their explanation is. the National Agency for Food and Drug Administration and Control has defended the administrative charges recently imposed on traders at the Onitsha Bridge head drug market, including a controversial 700,000 naira fee. And then they go on to say that the fees are federal government approved and were imposed after uncovering massive contraventions in Onitsha and other open drug markets. They, of course, gave this clarification, and then they went to do a further breakdown. They said the initial sum that was meant to be paid was an investigative charge of 5 million naira, reduced to 200,000 naira after pleas for sales of unregistered products. Then there was another one of an investigative charge of 2 million naira for violations of good storage and distribution practices, which was then reduced to 500,000 after further appeal. So what this further means is that they ought to have paid 7 million naira fine, but after plenty abeg, it has now been reduced to 700,000 naira. They go ahead to say that these penalties are officially gazetted charges and were applied fairly across the affected markets. They, of course, have said that they remain committed to safeguarding public health. And this is a statement by Professor Mojisola Adeyeye, the Director General of NAFDAC.
So I'm going to start by clapping.
So
And
the long story short is these are fines that are paid for violating the law.
So yes, that's what I need to confirm.
Yes.
And I don't want to speak when I don't have 100% of the facts.
Okay.
What I will say is we cannot downplay the importance of thoroughly investigating drug offenders.
Yeah, it's a life and death matter.
Exactly, because we know Very Karubaye, who allegedly died from taking expired medication.
Yeah.
There have been times when I have bought medication from a pharmacy,
even
and I don't even know. To be honest, a number of us are not so careful to always check expiry date, and I don't know what made me check the expiry date, and I found out that it was expired. Exactly what a number of them were doing in Onitsha. They were changing the dates, they were repackaging it, and imagine what that would do. How that is going to kill thousands of people who are dependent. This is one of the largest open drug markets in Africa, so people are always going there to get drugs. So first of all, I think it's important the work that NAFDAC is doing in exposing these fraudulent people. That's one. Two, I need to be sure that the levies are not imposed on everyone. That it is the people who committed these offenses, the violators that have the levies imposed on them. If it is the violators that have the levies imposed on them, I cannot speak for that. I cannot speak to that.
Why do you have? I mean, this is a life and death matter. Somebody is clearly. It depends on the particular breach, but if you're found to be selling expired drugs, I think you should lose your license for a period of time, or the penalty should be harsher.
I don't even think if they should even give them opportunity to reopen a store.
Exactly. Why are you a revenue generation agency? Why are you so interested in money? You could just pay 700,000, and then the next batch you bring in
more expired drugs and packages.
That's what they are trying to. That's what it looks like. Like, okay, just pay this money and then I'll look the other way, because they're not going to be doing raids every other week.
No.
And they need to look at a way to deal with this issue holistically, and also from the source, the Nigerian customs. They come in through our borders. They come in through ships. They come in through airports. They need to tackle at source and also prevent these things. Instead of this is very crude and very crude and pedestrian for you to just go to shops. There should be more intellectual or smarter ways of doing things. And then at the end of the day, this person has committed an offense, and what you're interested in is just bring this money,
yes.
Bring money.
To ask what I've said, in summary, I will never be in support of people selling illicit drugs, selling fake drugs, expired drugs, or repackaging medicine, by changing the expiry date. However, I would say if people are found selling these expired drugs and using it as a business, these people should be arrested and apprehended, and they should be made to face the law. I'm not quite sure about giving them levies and allowing them reopen their shop, because that's a menace to the society. If you're charging somebody and telling the person that they can pay 700,000 naira and then they can restart their business.
Fine should be for minor infractions.
Yes, for minor, not something as major as this. However, I also need to be certain that this is not a levy that has been imposed on innocent people. Because if they are innocent, because those are part of the arguments we're hearing. If if there are innocent people who, and this is an open call to the marketers in Ogbogu market, please reach out to us, tweet at us at News Central TV, or respond to this video. If there are people that have been innocently affected, who were not, you know, they had no infractions in this regard, and then a levy has been, they've been fined a levy just by virtue of being in that market, then that's injustice, that's unfair,
It's
and that
arbitrary.
needs to do better. Really.
That, I think, taking it from just the statement you made, I think that's where the bone of contention lies. They're saying that the innocent ones, I mean, that's what Very Dark Man had said in one of his videos, that even the innocent one, everybody, and doing the calculation, you could see about 3-point-something billion, that's what it's going to look like. But I was clapping initially, and I was clapping because I like the speed in which NAFDAC responded, and that's how it should be. A government parastatal body, ministry, whatever, whenever there's an allegation against or towards you, then you should be able to come out and speak. And that explanation also shows, it said it's been gazetted, it's there. So it means that it is also enshrined one way or the other in their processes of, you know, carrying out their job. However, I am worried that the monies was further reduced to 700,000 naira. I'm worried because if someone who has killed, in quotes, persons, fellow humans, Nigerians, by, you know, selling fake drugs, and they've died, are you trying to tell me that he's just going to pay that little money? What do you think he will do? Like Gbenga's also
Exactly.
like, he will get back with the program. He will get back.
There's a reason why it was 5 million in the first place.
Leave it there.
Unless you're not sure of the investigation you did, that's why you're reducing it.
Exactly.
Unless your investigation was arbitrary.
That's it. So there's a lot to sort out. There's a lot to look at. First, I think like we've highlighted here, if they're watching, feel free to get back to us. I mean, tweet us, let us know if it also involves the those who were not partaking in this illegal act. And then secondly, NAFDAC needs to fully clarify this entire thing. I mean, they've released a press statement. We like it. We love the way it's done. But then again, let's.
So that's why I'm saying that it's important for us to also, you know, have the people who are directly affected reach out to us as well, so we can get a fuller picture. But then again, if truly NAFDAC has imposed this fee for everyone in the market, then that's terrible. That should be condemned and criticized. Not in this economy where people are trying to make ends meet, and you know, it feels like policies are trying to stifle people.
They're also imposing that bill because you who you've been dealing with medications in that market, you are aware of your neighbor who's also selling fake.
But what's the proof that I'm aware?
Well,
I'm doing my business.
And we're not supposed to be snitches.
Let's move on.
Let's move on to you know, another conversation. Now, yesterday we brought you a report about the Iddo Bridge, and we had our correspondent Israel Eferobo, who was right at the bridge, talking about how this bridge had been demolished because the Minister of Works had given notice to them, asking them to evacuate the bridge. The bridge is not meant to be a place where they're doing buying and selling and businesses. It will turn out that a certain landlord has collected rent under that bridge to the tune of 32 million naira.
Very brave landlord.
Did I not say it?
32.2. Let me not put that point
that day.
But you would have expected this amount.
I said it here that day. I said there's a landlord there's not just a landlord, there's an agent.
And there are people
and there's a company
and there's no enforcement covering.
They will give you receipt.
And there's no enforcement covering for that landlord.
Now, they will give you receipt. They will even give you contract that you will sign. And they will charge you for power. You will pay for sanitation.
Oh my God.
So how did the landlord come about owning government property? Or how would he pitch to his prospective clients?
You know, who gets Gragra Pass? The Agboro that has the
I got here in 1972. Exactly. I was here when they built this bridge.
And just to mention that this video, you know, this investigation was carried out by The Guardian. But The Guardian brings this report about the landlord that has made 32.2 million yearly from rent under Iddo Bridge. We did cover the demolition of the bridge.
This is the height of lawlessness.
Look at the rubble.
How lawless can
look at the rubbles. Look at. You know what? Now, if you're going to look at this holistically, one, the agents that have been perpetrating this entire act, where are they now? This is my problem.
They need to.
This is my problem. This is where I have a problem. I have a problem with this. We talk, we show action. At the end of the day, action leads to no benefit or profit or whatever. So, well done to the Minister of Works, Engineer David Umahi. We can see him. We like his actions whenever he takes it. Very good. And we can see that this is a very good action, because what would happen one day on this bridge would continue to live with us for the rest of our lives.
He will shock you.
So now he's stopping it. However, don't forget that. Anyway, let's watch the minister as he spoke.
Urgency to protect.
We came with a number of bridge experts, because this bridge was borne down by people that have been occupying under the bridge. They even made block walls, and all kinds of goods are being sold under the bridge. They have converted under the bridge, like warehouses, shops, and living accommodation. And that's why the bridge has been totally torn down. There is no going back in thorough examination of this Iddo Bridge. You can see at the underpass that vehicles also hit the bridge, and the beams are damaged.
The integrity of the bridge. He's speaking on the engineering side of it. The integrity has been compromised. They have to do repair works. Even the underpass, some of those trucks that are not the height, they just managed to squeeze through. He talked about rental. I mean, they just turned that bridge to a mixed development. It's a mini mall. You have accommodation, you have commercial, and I don't know why he's not focused, or maybe somebody else would deal with that. Law enforcement and dealing with impunity, so that it will not repeat itself again. He's talking about repairing it and all of that. People need to be answerable for breaking the law. That man that collected rent, he needs to know who gave him cover, who are the perpetrators, and all of that. He's not a ghost, he's a Nigerian citizen.
Thank you. I mean, I think he's hit the nail on the head regarding this story.
The agents are there. You can get them. You have receipts when you pay. Use the receipts to trace them.
If they receipt or no receipt, if they want to trace them, they can trace them. Anybody can be found.
Guess what, Gbenga? We'll discover another place, another bridge. Short, after years,
Is it
a
sensitization issue, Olive, that, or is it a mentality?
I think it's all
that
of
government property
is our property.
It's our property. When you're in government, you can eat. It's our turn to eat.
So I think it's a mentality, and then there's impunity that abounds. Because again, like you both have mentioned, there haven't been strong punitive measures that have made the government stance clear on certain actions. It's why even when buildings keep collapsing, we still see people getting permits to do one story and then building two. Why? Because they haven't seen strong measures. They haven't seen strong punitive measures that send people to jail, send the developer and the person, the surveyor and everybody in charge of that project to jail because this building collapsed and because it proves that they were negligent. So until we start making examples of people, a number of these scenarios will keep repeating themselves. Speaking of making examples, our third story was one that I made mention of at the start of the show when I talked about Children's Day and how unfortunately a public figure went on Instagram Live and made a couple of very shocking revelations. Once talking about how he cannot work for anybody, he doesn't want to work for anybody. He talked about serving people and certain industries being very demeaning. He didn't use those exact words, but he talked about people in the hospitality sector, restaurants. He can't do any of that. And then he says, imagine asking a grown man to come and change bed sheets. And he then inferred in the statement that he had, it's even hard for me to say, he had violated a 15-year-old girl, like he had been with a 15-year-old girl who bled because she's a virgin. And when I saw the video, I was in shock. That was my first reaction. Social media has, of course, started to react to it. A number of people have called him out. One of them is Daddy Freeze, who has asked him to apologize. First of all, I don't even see why he should apologize, because this is not a situation of apology. You don't apologize for crimes. He has committed a crime. If you slept with a 15-year-old girl, if you admit to having slept with a 15-year-old girl, then you have abused her. That is rape. A 15-year-old girl does not have the power to give consent in this scenario. And now there are people who then dug out an old video of him where he got into an altercation with a woman who alleged that he abused a 16-year-old girl. Let's take a look. This is an old video that came out as a result of this.
Their hand in my window. Will I be wrong?
Let them get a rapist. A 16 years old
You want to start messaging a 16-year-old girl? My children are dead. You want to start fucking? My children are come here. Come here. Come here.
You see?
Come here.
You see now?
A 16-year-old girl.
You see now? You see what they're doing?
Okay, no, okay.
You see?
You carry knife.
Leave my things alone. Leave my things alone.
Look at knife in his hand.
Now, that's an allegation. The video came up. Because it's social media season, people forget that whatever you do, it stays on the internet.
Yeah,
it doesn't
stays on
completely
the
go away.
ground,
So
stays
because
everywhere.
he has volunteered information about having been intimate with a 15-year-old girl, people have started to dig out evidence about him. Lagos State government has, of course, swung into action and said that he's on the probe, and they have released a report. The Lagos State Domestic and Sexual Violence Agency, they say they are aware of the disturbing video currently circulating online, in which a popular entertainer allegedly admits to engaging in unlawful sexual activity with a minor. While the individual in question did not specify the location of the incident during the Instagram live session, we must clarify that the DSVA's jurisdiction is limited to Lagos State. In view of the above, and in line with our commitment to justice, we have escalated the situation to the National Agency for the Prohibition of Trafficking in Persons, NAFDAC. The Lagos State government reaffirms our zero-tolerance stance against all forms of sexual and gender-based violence, and will continue to advocate for accountability and the protection of every Nigerian child. And they go ahead to share contact details if you have anyone who, if you have any information that may help, 08000-333-333, or if you want to reach out to NAFDAC, send an email to info@nafdac.gov.ng, or send a text to 070-300000203.
Well, I want to believe that there are two sides to this story. The first is that there is what would I call it? There has been a trace pointing towards a constant behavior from this individual. And for them to dig up the old video where the mother came with the daughter and alleged in that video that the age, she's a child and so on, and he tried to defend himself and saying something else, I would not want to use that video as a clear evidence. Despite the fact that we can see that there's a trace, I wouldn't want to use that. So we'll just document it. The other aspect is, it could be that it's for clout, and being in quotes, maybe high, intoxicated, or allegedly being stupid at a certain point, you feel that if you call a certain age, it shows that you are still in the game. Why am I saying this? Psychologically, most men believe that when they hype themselves, that no matter how old they are, irresponsible men believe that, oh, I can get the young girl. It doesn't matter if I'm old. And you say something in quotes, stupid. I think that's another reason.
I kind of get your point.
Yeah, but if you add both of them together,
because we don't know the facts of the matter. Yeah, but we could, like he rightly said, we could induce a certain behavioral pattern from this individual that has a tendency for going for underage girls, from the accusations that his neighbors made that was sending soliciting messages to their, I believe, house girl or daughter. I'm not sure what the situation is. But looking at the facts of this current issue, the Lagos State Domestic Violence Agency Against Sexual and Domestic Violence did a great job by escalating to NAFDAC, because you can't tell the location of where
said it happened in the east.
Video was made. However, following what Joe just mentioned, it's irresponsible of him, even if somebody doesn't come out to file charges or say, look, I was the victim in this situation, but because of the controversy this has generated, the amount of public interest is generated, and debate, he would really learn his lessons. This is somebody that claimed to have grown up in the United States. Does he think this sort of things are tolerated?
Make this kind of joke in America.
There's zero tolerance for this sort of joke. So I'm happy that we invite him for questioning. I'm happy everybody's talking about this, so he will learn his lessons. Even when you're joking, there are certain lines you don't cross. He will never do this again.
I mean, he has spoken with such confidence that seems to power whatever he said, meaning that he might actually have been speaking the truth about what he did. But in the event that this was clout, it is such a terrible thing to use for clout. And I'm hoping that content creators learn that there are certain lines you don't cross. You don't make a joke about rape, sexual assault. This is not the first time. We've even seen in situations where, and I'm not in any way saying this is clout, because for all I know, for all intent and purposes, if he admitted to have been with a 15-year-old woman, a 15-year-old girl, then he was with a 15-year-old girl. And just to mention, for those who will say, oh, she may have wanted it, she may have given him consent. No. According to our laws, an underaged child, male or female, cannot give you consent. So if you sleep with an underage child, you have taken advantage of them, it can be categorized as rape. Let the law do its course, or let the law take its course.
A 15-year-old is a teenager.
A child.
Yeah.
She's a child.
Yeah, you can't be bragging of such and think you're chasing clout. Anyway, that's all we're going to take on Wake Up Conversations this morning. Let's head straight to our very, very interesting 3 hours full stretch programming as we bring to you the top stories for today on Breakfast Central.